Hey guys, welcome back to One Stop Biology. So guys, in today's video, we are going to study about, how the organisms, how different organisms respond to abiotic factors. So in the last video, we actually covered what are the abiotic factors which affect the living environment of all the living organisms, right? So now we know that abiotic conditions, they differ from habitat to habitat, they differ from one place to another. But we did not cover how the organisms which are living in such habitat, they cope up with such stressful conditions, right? So say we should first, understand that during the course of million of years of their existence of these living organisms, many species would have evolved, right? So many species have evolved, with context to some of the internal environments, which is the environment inside their body, and that permits all biochemical reactions and all physiological functions that they perform at maximum efficiency, right? So for example, say in terms of optimal temperature or osmotic concentration of body fluid, right? So ideally what happens is that the organism should try to maintain the constancy of its internal environment, right? So this maintenance of internal environment is nothing but what? Homeostasis. This is known as homeostasis, right? So basically, despite varying external, so this happens despite varying external environment, right? So despite the varying external environmental conditions, there are organisms who maintain the internal environment, and this process of maintenance of internal environment is known as homeostasis, right? So say for example, suppose a person is able to perform his or her best when the temperature is 25 degrees Celsius, right? And wishes to maintain it, right? So even when it is very hot or cold outside, what they can do is that they can be at home or workplace or traveling in a car in a temperature controlled environment, right? And by that way, they'll be able to perform to the maximum productivity irrespective of the outside environment, right? Now let's see how all living organisms respond to the abiotic factors. So the first point that we'll have to study here is they regulate, right? So the first point is that they regulate. What do we mean by they regulate? So see, some organisms are able to maintain homeostasis by physiological means, right? So that ensures constant body temperature, constant osmotic concentration, and all that. Now, if we come to all birds and mammals, and then some lower vertebrates, right, and invertebrates, they are capable of such regulation. They are capable of thermoregulation and osmoregulation. Right. Now, there are many evolutionary biologists who believe that success of mammals are, the most prominent type of phylum which is basically dominant over others, is because of their ability to maintain a constant body temperature and thrive whether they live in Antarctica or in the Sahara Desert, right? So the mechanism used by most mammals to regulate their body temperature is basically similar to the ones that we as humans use. How we do it is we maintain a temperature of 37 degrees Celsius, right? For us, the optimum temperature is 37 degrees Celsius. Now, in summer, say when outside temperature is more, like 40 to 45 degrees Celsius, then what happens? We start sweating, right? We sweat profusely, right? And this sweating results in evaporative cooling, right? Now, similar to this happens when the desert cooler in operation. So basically, it brings down the body temperature, right? Now, in winter, when the temperature is lower than, so we can even survive in minus, right? So say if the temperature is minus 2 degrees Celsius, right? What we do is we basically start to shiver, right? So when the temperature is high, we sweat, and when the temperature is low, we shiver, right? So shivering basically is nothing but a kind of exercise which produces heat and raises the body temperature, right? Now, when it comes to plants, guys, remember that in case of plants, they do not have such mechanism to maintain internal temperature, right? They cannot maintain the internal temperature. Now, guys, the second type of response to abiotic factor is to conform. Now, what do we mean by conform? So, guys, what happens is that say there is an majority, 99% of animals and nearly all plants, right? And they cannot maintain a constant internal environment. Their body temperature changes with the outside temperature, right? Again, in aquatic animals, the osmotic concentration of the body fluid that change with that of the water's osmotic concentration. Now, these plants and animals are known as conformers. So, guys, with these organisms, there is no need to maintain an internal environment because the outside environment, the external environment is fairly constant, right? So if we talk about temperature, oxygen tension, osmoregulation, nutrients, the outside environment itself is constant, right? And that is why they do not need to make changes to their internal environment. Right? Now let's see some examples. Now we saw that, many animals, what they do is sweat it out or in summer, right? So basically thermoregulation is something which is energetically expensive for many organisms, right? Now this is true for small animals like say hummingbirds. So basically what is happening is that heat loss or heat gain is a function of surface area. Now small animals have a larger surface area relative to their volume. So they tend to lose body heat very fast when it is cold outside. And then they have to expend much energy to generate body heat through metabolism. That is the reason that, very small animals are rarely found in polar regions. Right? So, what has happened is that during the course of evolution, the cost and benefit of maintaining a constant internal environment are taken into consideration. And some species have evolved the ability to regulate, right? But again, a very limited range of environmental conditions, which basically is something which they confirm. Right? So basically, if the stressful external condition are localized or remain only for a shorter duration, then the organism has two other alternative ways of survival. Right? Now, what are these ways? So the other one is they migrate. Now, what is migration? So basically, guys, what happens is that they move from one place to another, right? So the organisms can temporarily move from one place to another, right? So now basically this place can be, they will be moving from a stressful habitat to a more hospitable area, right? And they'll return back, they'll come back when the stressful period is over. So this is migration, right? So migration is the process where the organisms can move away temporarily from where? From stressful habitat to more hospitable one, right? And they will return when this stressful period is over, right? So if we talk about humans in human analogy, what we do is, like, say a person is moving from Delhi to Shimla during summer and then coming back, right? Now many animals and particularly birds, guys, remember that in birds, right, during winter undertake long distance migrations is also there to more hospitable area, right? So say now that every winter the famous national park, which is Kyolado National Park in Bharatpur in Rajasthan, hosts thousands of migratory birds which are coming from Siberia and other extremely northern regions, right? So they migrate. Now, what they do apart from that, they suspend as well. So the fourth response is suspend. Now, what do we mean by suspend? So, stay now in bacteria, fungi, and lower plants. There are various kinds of thick-walled spores, and these are formed which help them to survive unfavorable conditions. So, basically, when the suitable environment is available, they germinate and form the plant body or the fungal or the bacterial body, right? In the similar way, in higher plants, seed or different other vegetative reproductive structures serve as mean to tide over period of stress, and it helps, basically they disperse, they germinate to form new plants again under favorable moisture and temperature condition, right? So basically they do this by reducing their metabolic activity and they go into the state of dormancy, right? This happens in fungi, bacteria, and lower plants, and then higher plants as well. Now, in animals, if the organism is unable to migrate, they might avoid the stress by escaping in time, right? So, basically, there are cases of hibernation or aestivation, which is nothing but winter and summer sleep, right? So, say bear, what they do is they go into hibernation during winter. In similar way, there are various fishes and snails which go into aestivation to avoid summer-related problems like heat and desiccation, right? So, many zooplankton species in lakes and ponds are also known to enter diapause. What is diapause? A stage of suspended development, right? So in case of plants and in case of animals, in case of plants, it is through spores, it is through seed, it is through other vegetative parts that they survive. And in case of animals, it is escaping time. So winter sleep, summer sleep, right? And diapause. And all these are nothing but suspended stages, right? So guys, with this, we have finished the different type of response to abiotic factors. We'll see one more very small topic, which is adaptation. So adaptation basically, guys, is an attribute of the organism, right, which can be morphological, physiological, or behavioral. right? So adaptation enables the organism to survive and reproduce in its habitat, right? So say if when we consider the various alternatives which is available to organisms for coping with extremes, extreme environment, now we have seen that they respond through their physiological adjustments, right? They also do it behaviorally. How? They migrate temporarily to a less stressful habitat, right? So this is a behavior response. Now all these attributes make them to adapt, and this is basically the process which allows the organism to morphologically, physiologically, or through his or her behavior to survive and reproduce in a particular habitat. Now, there are many adaptations which have evolved over, the evolutionary time, and they are genetically fixed as well. For example, in absence of external source of water, the kangaroo rat in North American desert is capable of meeting all its water in requirement through internal fat oxidation, right? So in fat oxidation is where water is a byproduct, right? So basically it has the ability to also concentrate its urine so that minimal volume of water is used to remove excretory products. In same way, there are many desert plants, right, which have thick cuticle on their leaf surface, right? And their stomatas are arranged in deep pits. They have sunken stomatas to minimize water loss through transpiration. Then they have a special photosynthetic pathway as well, which is known as CAM, that enables their stomata to remain closed during daytime as well, right? Then we have many desert plants like Opuntia, which have no leaves, and these leaves are basically reduced to spines. And this makes them, prone to losing water, more water. These makes them basically against losing water, right? And the photosynthetic function, because now the leaves are reduced to spines, so the photosynthetic functions is taken over by the stems itself. The stem produces food instead of leaves. Right, so there are many such example, guys, which prove nothing but that we, as a living organism, can adopt to a lot many stressful conditions, and we have evolved over a course of time to do that, right? So, guys, I hope you understood how how exactly how nicely we adapt and how accurately we respond to the abiotic factors. So guys, if you understood the video, please do like it and share it with all your friends. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon to get all the updates that I'll be posting on my channel. And guys, if you have any doubt with respect to this video, please do mention it in the comments, or you can also message me over on WhatsApp with all your doubts and I'll respond to it. And I've given the WhatsApp number in the description of the video. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Take care. Bye bye.